NTV.
Welcome back to Morning at NTV, and thank you for staying with us. We are going to be talking about the impact of the coronavirus on the aviation industry, not only in Uganda, but elsewhere in the world. But the focus will be on our very own Entebbe International Airport. Now, let me just give you a brief preamble. Travel restrictions and a slump in demand as a result of the coronavirus pandemic has forced airlines to lay off staff and cut more flights. Airlines may also have to ground most of their planes as a result of travel bans and falling demand passenger numbers and bookings have plummeted in recent weeks as countries close their borders and holidaymakers cancel trips in Uganda. The country's revived airline was still in its honeymoon when the coronavirus hit. Now it is faced with low passenger numbers. To speak to us about this and more, we do have the veteran politician, flight captain, Francis Babu. Welcome to the show and good morning.
Good morning.
El Bushek.
That's right.
So we have
This is a better one.
Namaste.
Yes.
So we have so many airlines that are grounding their flights. You have Flybe grounding or halting its flights. You also have South African Airways. It might not survive this. Ethiopian Airways, Cathay Pacific. So many airlines are being hit. Air France KLM also being hit. How will the aviation industry survive this?
No, it's very clear. The coronavirus is going to affect the economies of all the nations in the world, and the aircraft industry aviation industry is not going to survive this. Already, there is a meltdown of global travel ban. Countries are banning airlines to come to their countries, and the people are not traveling to those countries. United States, since yesterday, stopped the English. United Kingdom and Ireland to go to their countries. They have refused most of the Europeans where the epicenter of coronavirus is in Italy and some parts of Europe. Now, with this happening, what is going to happen is that the industry is going to be affected. During the 9/11 in 2001, the American, for about, I think it was about 4 days, the American airline lost so much money that they had to get, some sort of money from the American government, and it was about $30 billion for only 4 days. They know they've got the biggest airlines practically in the world. They've got American, United, and I think they're about 4 or 5, which are the biggest in the world. Then you add on the other airlines in Europe, Lufthansa, British Airways, Air France, KLM, and then you go to the Far East. You start with in the Middle East. You have Emirates. You have Qatar, and then as you go on further, you have Air India. Then all the way up to Singapore Airlines and the other airlines.
Malaysia.
But Cathay Pacific have already grounded 114 aircraft. Now imagine an airline with 114 aircraft. In your country here, you're talking about 4 aeroplanes. They're talking about 114 aircraft. Now, when they cut down the flights, the multiple flights they're going to cut down, with these aircraft seated on the ground, you lose money. But unlike us, they're going to get a bailout from their countries, their governments. You talked about South African Airways.
I saw the Federal Reserve releasing around $100 billion. That is yesterday, stimulus package.
And that's the beginning. They say they want to do this for 1 month. Remember, I told you for 4 days they paid $30 billion. What happens when it is more than 4 days? South African Airways, the government is already bailing out South African Airways. Ethiopian Airlines is the only one which has said we are not going to stop. We're going to continue with our flights, and we're just going to follow the norms, the procedures that WHO has told us. But then the countries are the ones that are putting down the lockdown. For example, United States says all non-citizens from Europe, except Americans and residents, will not be allowed into the States. Now, when you do that, it means the aircrafts don't have any passengers.
Indeed.
I don't know what is going to happen with Africa going into the United States. I don't know what is going to happen with countries like Emirates and so on and so forth. So all these are going to go towards this meltdown, and the meltdown is never going to be the same. Some airlines might even go up. In fact, they are talking about in Europe what they call a shakeout, where airlines will begin to join to be able to survive. So these are already happening, and it's moving so fast. Coronavirus has caused so much problem. Luckily, in America, the internal flights have not been stopped.
Yeah.
They have been reduced in the sense that they don't have the frequency they've been having. But in a lot of countries, airlines are actually being grounded.
Like Italy.
Oh, the Italian thing is very unfortunate. It's number 2 to China.
1,800 deaths, that's too much.
What is interesting, China is getting out of the coronavirus. Their method seems to be working, and United States is copying some of them. Yeah.
But then they're dealing now with another issue, which is Chinese that have left China who are actually now importing the virus into the country.
Yeah, but see, I find this very unfortunate. The Chinese are not the only ones. Even foreigners who have been in China, who are going back to their countries, are actually having this problem.
Now they're exporting it to their countries.
For example, the person who was found in India was an Italian. Some of these people who, for example, Rwanda, the person came from India. Then you have people coming from Europe, especially our own people. So it's really not fair to just say Chinese. Anybody who went to China around that time, they say they have this incubation period in some countries. Australia has said anybody who comes in, whether you are okay, you must go quarantine yourself for 14 days.
And they're right.
Yes. So I don't think we should just sit down, and I'm very unhappy with this bad false information about China. China has had the problem. They started with it, but they have fought it. They have reduced infections to 8 people, which I think is fair. They built a hospital for 100 beds in a short period.
And over 70 have recovered, 70,000
70,000. And now, yesterday I was on television, and the pregnant women in China, all of them have recovered. So when you sit down and talk about other countries, it's not fair. I think we should salute China for the kind of methods they've used to fight the coronavirus. They started saying their politics is this, their politics that. But I'm tired of this spinning. Now, coronavirus is dangerous. It doesn't have borders. It is all over the place, and is normally found in the cold area. And we've had SARS. They've had SARS in the United States. They've had MERS. These are all forms of viruses which come in like flu. And you cannot just say, because China had it, unfortunately, from a certain point, that China is the sick man of the Far East. I don't. Now, can we say that America is the sick man of America? No. I think it's a very unfortunate thing that this disease is there. Instead of us making statements like those, that the Chinese and all that, no. It's countries that have had this problem. We should now all, as a global community, we should fight.
But it seems like we are not in unison. There is no unity or solidarity. These countries are actually calling on to these cancellations, impromptu cancellations, without consulting their neighbors. A country will wake up one day, like America, and say we are not traveling to Europe, without consulting with the Europeans. And the Europeans also wake up and say, like yesterday, the European Council was saying that they should start pondering about a 30-day ban in that regard. But then even Italy, Spain, these other countries, they shut down their borders without consulting their neighbors. So what would be the immediate ramifications of shutting or cancelling such flights?
Coronavirus has not been here before.
Yeah.
So people don't know how first of all, how it spreads. Secondly, they've got to start fighting it. Now, they cannot go consulting people. What they do is first contain the situation in their own country and then look at other people. Now, United States, for example, there were Americans who were saying, no, the federal government should shut down the whole United States. The government said, no, we're going to shut down areas we think that have got problems. Now, I think we should be very careful. WHO has told us, and the big medical organizations in each country are working out methods of fighting this coronavirus. I've just heard this morning, France has gone completely, they have declared war to coronavirus. So each country has got different. What we need to do is countries like China, which have found better ways of fighting this, should help other countries. They're
already in Italy.
Yes, for example. And if possible, the United States, because I had the American doctor who was speaking with the president, saying that we've got examples from China on the pregnant women. And I think that's the way to go. Those who have already found methods. Now, the Indians, they say that they've given people antiviral drugs plus malaria drugs, and the people have, somebody from Italy got cured. Now, that was somebody from Italy, you see now?
Yes, yes.
You see what I was trying to...
Yeah.
So we have to be very careful what statements we make during this period. Like our country, we should be very vigilant. And our ministry, our president has done very well. Our president, he came out openly. The Minister of Health has been on. And medias like this, actually, we should every time advertise what people should do. You know, the different points they've given us.
That's what we've been doing.
Yeah, to wash your hands, to do this. I think these are extremely important. And I would like to thank you if you're doing it, and thank all the other media for doing this. In fact, I think the National Association of Broadcasters should be thanked if they can ask all their members to tell the public what to do.
Indeed. Yeah. So help us understand the worst case scenario. If this virus is with us for the next 6 months, God forbid, for a year, what would be the immediate ramifications on the global economy and the aviation industry?
But you can see what is happening in the stock exchange. It's already dropped 3,000 in New York alone.
They had to halt trading yesterday.
Yeah, you know, you're talking about the economy and the shock to all the economies in the world. It's not only the airline industry, all industries, the cruise industries. You know, America had a lot of this industry of the big boats where human beings go into a cruise have been affected. You're going to find hotels, tourist centers, all the economy, each different industry is going to be affected. The economy of the whole world is going to come to a crunch.
Speaking of cruise ships, there is a ship that is still stranded in the Bahamas. It had left Britain. But all the countries within the Caribbean said, no, you're not going to dock within our area. No. We can give you humanitarian assistance, but you won't leave the ship.
But yeah, it's not only that. They have one, you see, on the eastern coast of the United States, there are ships that start from Canada all the way to the Caribbean. Then on the western side, all the way from Vancouver, all the way down to Mexico. Now, these are very, very big, it's a very big business. And then you have the one in Australia. You have different countries. Now, what is happening? All countries are telling these people not to come off the ships, but they can give them, you know, what they require to survive.
Won't this virus bury our very own Entebbe airport, which is in its initial stages?
Oh, yeah. We are not going to be we are not going to be different from all the other countries. People who come here, the trickle of tourists we've been getting here will stop. Then then the businessmen are going to stop going abroad. There was that big joke on social media that all our big politicians who have been going out for treatment abroad will no longer go.
So you have to stay here and improve the healthcare system.
So our doctors here have to do it. Our Center of Infectious Diseases at Makerere and Mulago should really work on this and find out. I heard the speaker and the president saying there was an American professor who's given us an antidote of something and given us a patent of a chemical that kills coronavirus. If it is there, well and good. I'm very glad if that happens. If it is not there, fine. We shall have to find a way of doing it.
Yeah, the Americans, I think they have a cure. They started clinical trials. That is today. Yes, they started today on a woman called Jennifer Palmer.
Yes.
That is the, I think they call it the Kaiser Permanent Washington Institute of Health in
yeah,
Seattle.
they gave it even days. It's going to take a few weeks.
Just a couple of days.
No. It's going to take a little bit of... They are doing that in Germany. They are doing it in China.
Yeah, CureVac in Germany, they say by June or July. Yeah. But then right about now, I think the main point should be us telling the public the preventative ways they should employ to prevent the spread of the COVID-19.
Preventive medicine is the best in the world, whether you like it or not. And the way our ministry has been advising us, the way we should advise our people. Luckily, we have an LC system. I think every LC should get this and tell the villagers and tell the people in the parish and tell the different people in the country what is going on. For the airline that you were talking a few minutes ago, you know, I keep telling people that whilst the United States economically is up there, we are near the ground, so our falling is going to be small as compared to these big airlines. That's the only difference. Yes.
So they had the airlines that will be hit hard. You have Rwanda Air, Kenya, maybe in South Africa. that have been in East Africa, by the scale of in East
remember, most of our small these airlines, they feed into bigger airlines.
Yes.
For example, Uganda Airlines has been going to Nairobi and feeding into other airlines that go to Asia, that go to Europe, that go to different places.
I see your point.
So that one is not going to be. So the few people who will be going maybe for businesses, again, Kenya is clamping down. What is going to happen to us? Who wants to go to Nairobi? Who wants to go to Mombasa? Who will? And I hear Tanzania is very, very concerned about people who go there. Arusha, for example, I'm told, they are virtually locking down. They don't want anybody to go there.
Speaking of locking down airports, Engineer Ayub Soma actually advised the government to actually cancel all international flights. What do you take about that?
Well, for the time being, it won't be for. They want to know exactly. People have to understand how coronavirus is moving. So stopping for a period gives you time to try and find out how to combat this disease. It doesn't have, we don't have it yet understood, but I was very impressed when somebody posted something on the media that every 100 years we get some sort of disease like the plague, like the flu and so on and so forth. And now, of course, the coronavirus. Coronavirus, which is an interesting disease, the doctors are telling us it's not as bad as SARS. SARS was even worse.
Or the Spanish flu.
Or the Spanish flu. No, Spanish flu happened when people were at the level when they did not have enough medicine and enough inventions.
In 1918.
Yes. But a lot of these people now are finding this very quickly. In fact, when you talked about United States and different people, they are going to find a cure very soon. I mean, an antidote, and they're going to try and fight it within the next few.
The reason why so many experts are so worried, Mr. Babu, is the fact that these people are now exporting, especially the foreigners, exporting this disease now to other countries, especially Africa, just like what we saw in 1918 as the First World War was winding down. This disease, Spanish flu, started in America. So as the Americans were entering Europe, to wind down the last battles, that's when they infected Europe.
Yes.
And then the second infection in America, that's when the returning Americans, the soldiers, were coming back home. So that's what we are dealing with right now. Infection started in China, then people started leaving, so the disease started circulating.
The plague was the same. The Europeans started coming to Africa, they started going to the Far East, the rats, fleas infected the people. So it's been going on for some time. So there's nothing new here.
So let's talk about solutions in that regard, because according to the facts I've seen, this situation could deteriorate in the shortest time. So as a veteran flight captain, what would be the immediate solutions to try and contain this situation without causing panic?
I would like to look at Ethiopian Airlines. How are they doing it? Because Ethiopian Airlines says they're not going they're going to reduce the flights, but they're not going to stop flying to all these places. I would like to see Kenya Airways, which has completely stopped. Would like to see what South African Airways will do. I think what it's going to do here is we need to find a cooperation, and we need to find experts who can help us. But I think the best thing initially is to stop and find out exactly how this disease is behaving. How it is moving and all that. By the way, you're talking about this disease moving. It has always been people traveling from one country to another who brought diseases.
Okay, Mr. Babu, let's house this conversation and link to my reporter, Stephen Bide, but we shall get back to this conversation. A very good morning, Bide, once again. Where are you right now, and what's the latest?
We are coming to Kampala to Kawempe. You from we set off from Kawempe. We're just approaching. We are on the road towards Waise. We are here. I'm here with the people coming from Lugoba, Katoke, some coming from Kawempe Kutano. We are heading towards Kampala. These people are going to do their daily businesses wherever they are working from. But today, I'm going to be speaking to them about this issue, this pandemic of coronavirus that is ravaging the world. We know that for now, already 166,000 people have already contracted this disease, with also over 6,500 deaths that have been reported across the world in different countries like China, Japan, South Korea, Germany, Netherlands, and other countries. But as Uganda, we're so lucky that this scourge hasn't yet gotten into the country, even with our neighbors battling this disease. Let me speak to these people. Good morning to you.
Morning.
What are you doing? What do you know so far about this disease called coronavirus?
I heard about it spread all over the country, but we just beg the government to be serious on us, to help us, to close for us the borders, because if they don't close the border, we can get this disease easily. Because I've seen the Indian TVs, every TVs, that the borders are not yet closed. They're allowing people to enter, others illegal, others through the Entebbe airport. So we are begging them to close for us the borders.
So you as an individual, you as a family, where you come from, what are you doing to guard against this disease, also at your workplace?
Oh, I'm even worried, so much worried. As for now, I'm moving to town. I don't know what to do. I have no solution for it because I'm not capable.
Okay. We know that in Uganda, so far this disease is not yet here, but the president is yet. Very soon is going to make some declarations, like we've seen Paul Kagame of Rwanda, Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya, the declarations they've made. Kanyogereko n'abantu abalaba mbuli ebbo kiki bamanyi ku bulwadde buno bwa coronavirus era kiki bakozeewo okulaba nga babutangira. Sebo osiza otya? Minister of Health egenda evaayo ne bwabubaka ne bannamawulire bakoze omulimu gwabwe, gwe kiki omanyi sofa kati?
Kitofa kyemanyi ku buno obulwadde buli airborne disease, buli contagious, nti obeera n'omuntu akuliraanye mu range entono obukwata, like wasinizinga mu ngalo n'akwata somewhere bukwata naawe. So kyemumanyiko nti buyita mu mpewo, olira n'abuyina buba bugenda kukwata.
For you as an individual, what are you doing, or where are you coming from as a family? What are you doing to ensure that you guard against this disease?
So far, Ministry y'ebyobulamu mu Uganda yatugambye twewale nnyo kwatira because bw'okwata ng'oli yasinizinze abuyina buba bugenda bukalinga bukwate otwalireko ne family yo n'emikwano gyonna byobaokolera. So kati nze kyenkola nga nze personality sikwata buli wamu, ate wendaba omuntu nga sinizinga ntera nnyo keeping a distance from wali okuziyiza obwo obulwadde okujja gye ndi nange. Naye so far nze kyendaba government yaffe kyekoze like si kyamaanyi mukko kubanga tulina
kiki wadde oyagala ekole?
Kyemande njagala enkole yayongedde okukifuula ekintu kino taafu eri abantu abayingira Uganda ng'ovuddewo kuba naba airport, abantu abayingira abacrossinga border. So twanawuddeko nti Kenya gye buli baagaana abantu abava mu nsi ezibulina, kati ekyo kya Kenya bagenda kikolera ki so far? Amanya bampita Musa Moses.
Maybe my camera person Arnold Seremba can show you the traffic jam that we are in as we approach Bwaise. We are along the Bombo Road here, coming from Kawempe. We are enjoying this drive in Awakule Nume, talking to these people who are coming from different areas of Kawempe. Let me also speak to this lady who is, I can see from, she's a part of the Guild Council of Womukat. Good morning, and what's your name?
Good morning, I'm Christine Nalubama. Well, what I know about this virus, the coronavirus, it's basically not only an airborne disease, but if we are not careful, we can easily get it. For example, the research has been found, it has been made that not only like do people get it through shaking hands and stuff, but when you also touch someone infected or with an infected person, and you touch your mouth or like scratch your eyes, that is okay. That's also a high risk of getting the virus. But in order to prevent all that, we should just be careful. Wash, like hand sanitize them at least like 20 seconds. You touch somewhere or communicate to someone, because some people don't understand that the importance of washing hands, and they are used to that format of greeting while shaking hands. So it's better to wash hands for at least 20 seconds and stay away from crowded places. And me as a person, well, of course, I'm staying away from crowded places, I'm not shaking hands anymore like I used to. Even giving hugs, by the way, it can also contaminate someone.
Your name?
My name, once again, is Christine Nalubama.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Christine. We are still here with the people in Wakule bus. So, good morning to you, and what's your name?
Yup, good morning. I'm Kama.
Louder.
Good morning. I'm Kamara Jr. And I'm glad to be with our NTV guys this morning. Yeah.
Okay, what do you know so far about coronavirus, and what are you doing to guard against this disease? Because we are in a crowded place so far now, we are in a bus. Supposing one person here in the bus had this virus, we are also also at a at a risk of contracting this disease. What are you doing for you as a person, as an individual?
Right about now when I speak, what I'm doing for myself is that I'm moving with sanitizers, pocket-size sanitizers, and while I'm at work, I'm dealing with a lot of customers coming from different countries. So what I'm doing, I'm providing them with sanitizers before they talk to me, they interact with me. I make sure they're clean, they're sanitized, and I think that's what I'm doing to prevent the virus. But so far, I'm just praying. We are worried, but we're also praying that we should stay away from this virus. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. One more person, and then I'll be handing you back to studio. This is Morning at NTV. Stephen Mbide here in Wakule bus. We're coming from Kawempe, and right now we are just at Bwaise on our way to Kampala. This is Morning at NTV. Back to you, Romeo, in the studios.
Very good morning once again, my brother. Thank you very much for that update. I was looking at that bus and I could really see if you touch the top of that COVID-19, end up getting the virus, despite the fact that you're wearing a mask. So washing your hands is the best way. So I do have Captain Francis Babu in the studio. So we're still talking. What's your deliberation on what you just saw there, the preparations of the people? Do you think we are ready to combat the spread of the COVID-19?
Well, we're trying. I don't think I mean, I don't think we have all the measures.
Let's close this conversation.
What I'm saying, nobody has got the exact measures how to combat this. But of course, we need more effort. And I'm happy that the president, I'm told, is going to come on the air and talk to us, and the Minister of Health. And I would like to thank NTV for this kind of programs. They are very important because they give you an insight of what the people think. Yes.
So in this interim, what should our Uganda Airlines, do to solve this problem?
First of all, depending on they'll have to reduce their flights.
Okay.
But their lifeline, where people require this airline, they can leave it. In fact, in one of the write-ups, they said the culprit of spreading coronavirus has been the airlines.
The culprit of spreading the coronavirus has been the airlines. Let's leave it at that note and go to another contentious conversation that can be jaw-dropping. It's with regards to the arrest and detention of Lieutenant General Henry Tumukunde. He collapsed yesterday. Now remember, he was arrested Thursday last week, and his offices were searched Saturday morning. And that's when his two sons were also arrested but released on the same Saturday. But they contend, his lawyers, that is Alex Luganda, he contends that the man might have collapsed after it was revealed that one of his sons, all his sons, were also being charged for treason. Anyway, looking at what has been happening with Tumukunde's presidential breed and the way he has been treated by government, what are his chances?
Well, I really don't. To be honest with you, I don't have a clue at all. But one thing is, I've looked at the general, the last time when they had the youth elections in Fort Portal, I think they shot him in the leg. He seems to be in this area, and I don't know what the reasons are for arresting him, whether it is because of his bid or because of something else. I think we need...
They contend the reason for his arrest,
Yes.
they contend that he was trying to reach out to another country to invade Uganda. Treason charges.
Well, it's difficult for us to sit here and speculate. But
what are his chances?
Oh, they are managed. You see, in Uganda, we are lucky. The government in power gives people a chance to go to court, whether it is a court or court martial, whatever it is. Luckily, I've seen people go to court, and in fact, Tumukunde has been there before, and they have released him. Luckily, this is a country where people still go into incarceration, and they are released. If the allegations against him are false, he will definitely be released. You saw the other day, the former Inspector General of Police was also put in, they took him in detention. Eventually, they released him. Yeah. So the good thing about this country is that people get released once the information has been established. I hope these allegations are not true. But you see, the problem is they are now being connected on his standing for presidency or his bid. But we have to be very careful in this country how we interpret what we see. Sometimes most of us interpret what we see in different forms. We paint different pictures.
What do you see in this regard?
Well, I don't really have a clue as such, but let's put it this way. There are people in this country who are trying very hard to remove the government. I don't know if he's part of that. He might not be. But there are people, and there are people who you will not expect to be part of this. And they have been doing this for some time. And the government has been fighting hard in Eastern Congo. They're trying to find out where the problems are.
Which people are these that have been trying to fight the government?
Oh, there are many. For example, ADF is one of them. There are others within who also would like to be there. I think it's not a small group. I think it's quite a
there was also a resurgence of the combatants in Kasese. Yes,
that's right.
Yes.
And I think it is very difficult for us who are not in the security services to really give you a true answer. That's why I don't like to speculate. This is a very difficult debate.
So let's not focus on his presidential bid. Let's say he's released.
Let me tell you what
let's
people...
say he's released. Okay, let's first say he's released.
Let me tell you what people are saying outside.
Okay, go ahead.
They say that this is a stage-managed game.
That's what they're saying.
To give him popularity. But again, that is not something you can sit down and start painting. I think we have a bit of a problem. We don't have enough facts. What we need are facts from government to tell us why the man was arrested. I think they're the only ones who can tell us the truth. We can't sit here and speculate.
Okay, let's veer off the fact that he was arrested and detained and focus on the fact that he could be released in the near time and he might proceed with his presidential ambitions. If that does happen and Tumukunde is released and he embarks on his presidential bid, do you think he has what it takes to trounce President Museveni come 2021?
Well, I really don't know. But we've had others who've been arrested and went to prison and competed for the elections, and President Museveni won. So really, that is a hypothetical question. And it is a hypothetical answer, which I really would not like to venture in. No, I don't think it's fair. Like our constitution says, anybody above 18 years of age can contest for presidency. To be a president, I think it's 33 years of age. So I think he should be left to contest. That's all I'm saying.
Putting Mr. Tumukunde aside, and the fact that the constitution allows a young man of 18 years to run.
No, 33. I think minimum is 33 for presidency.
Didn't we remove the age limit?
No, the lower age limit, I don't know if it was removed. But, well, maybe it was removed. But I think it's a little bit more than 18, isn't it?
We did remove the age limit, allowing an 18-year-old to stand.
An 18-year president can be very difficult.
It can be difficult, but according to the Constitution, after the amendment and removal of age limit, that's what happened. Now, get this. Mr. Nandala Bafawi had fronted an amendment to have the nomination fee for the parliamentarians reduced from 3 million to 200,000, and for the presidency from 20 million to 3 million. Now, here I am trying to grapple with this situation. I'm looking at an 18-year-old who the Constitution allows to run for the presidency. Where will they get that nomination fee? Let alone
You're talking about 3 million? But I thought it was 50 million.
They put it at 20.
No, that was the old one. The new one is the 50, isn't it?
No, it's still at 20 million. They maintained it at
They didn't
20.
go to 50?
No. They maintained it at 20 and 3 million. But before, it was 200,000 for the parliamentarians. No. So I'm here wondering, a young man like myself, where will I get all that money to get nominated to run for the presidency? Don't such measures...
A young man like yourself, what would you be doing looking for 50 million or 20 million? First of all, you should get married, live a reasonable life, do a good job on TV, and then after some time, you move on. In most countries, young people start in the local government. From the local government, they go to the national politics in parliament. Obama went all the way up to the state senate, and then from state senate he went in the real senate and eventually became president.
But we saw Sebastian Kurz, the Prime Minister of Australia, get onto the mantle of that chair at the age of 28, 29. So young people...
Austria.
Yes,
and then
Sebastian Kurz.
And then they caught him for
still
for
Prime
corruption.
Minister. And he's
No,
still Prime Minister.
he was in corruption scandal.
But he was still elected. So the fact is, young people, and the reason why they were debating the age limit, they were saying we want to give a leeway for young people to participate. And then they paradoxically closed the door by increasing the nomination fees. What do you make of that?
I don't like this debate because I think we are not looking for young or old. We are looking at the people who have got the capacity to lead us as leaders. Until you get that very clear, I think we need any Ugandan who's got the capacity and who has got the charisma of being our leader. I think the problem is we are being deceived by this age argument. The argument here is not age. It's getting us a good leader. I don't care how old, and the leader should be able to have the capacity to lead this country. I think that is the bottom line. Now, this argument about age, about color, about height, I don't agree with. Yes. So this is me. I don't know about other people. You give me a person who's got the ability to rule, who has got an ability to lead, who's got an ability with the charisma to be our leader.
I'll give you one. That is Bobby Wine.
That is your opinion. That's not my opinion.
That is my next question.
No, that is your opinion.
That is my next question.
I've got another opinion. You know, it depends. Ugandans should not be. I have got somebody. Yeah, that is you. You're free to have somebody. But I think we should be very careful. People of Uganda know what. By the way, you underestimate the voters. They know who they want.
They know.
Yeah, you can come and talk, and at the end of the day, they might give it to you or they might give it to somebody else. Yeah.
So speaking of the emergency of young people, I talked about Bobby Wine because he's one of the young people who have come out verifiably to actually challenge President Museveni. Now, the question is the People Power movement under siege?
Is he challenging Museveni or he wants to be a leader?
He wants to be the president.
Yeah, but that's not challenge. That is coming up to say, look, I can offer myself and I can give you this. Immediately you start that argument of challenging other people, you are in a bind. I think what you should do is come out and give us your program and let us listen and we decide. There are people who might want it. There are people who are annoyed because they want it.
Amazing.
There are people who think that it should be done because we are young. I think we should not do that. We should not elect because of our temperament. We should elect because we need a leader who can lead this country.
So go out there and send your message to the people.
That's
which
right.
is what Bobby Wine was doing during the consultation
Is
meetings.
he? Was he?
But the president,
Was he?
But the,
No.
But the security operatives stopped him in his tracks
Was
from
he?
going ahead.
Was he?
He contends that he
No.
was doing
We
just
must look at both sides. You should never look at one side of the story. In fact, a single story. I think there's a lady called Ngozi Chimamanda who said single stories are dangerous. Don't look at the single story. Let's look at both stories. Why? Never decide on one single story, one side of the story. No. And people should not use their wishes and their demand to support an argument. I think you should look at both sides. Yes.
So with the resistance we are seeing and the violence, do you as a veteran politician want to tell us why we are seeing these cases of violence manifest in our society?
Some people believe that's the best way to go, which I don't agree with. I don't agree whether it is government or whether it is the private people. I don't think that's a better way to go. I think what we need to do is to try and find ways and means of trying to get our leaders. Personally, I think the multi-party system in this country is not auguring very well. Is not doing very well. So we've got problems within our political system, and we need to find out how to overcome these problems so that we can get good leaders. And you know, you went and brought something called multi-party. You put it in this country. The best leaders would be found, supposedly, if we had multi-party. The parties would be the ones to go out there and get us good leaders. Have they? Have these parties got us good leaders? These are questions we must answer. You said you wanted multi-parties in this country. The question I ask all those parties, have they gone out there and got us good leaders? Or leaders just come up by themselves and say, I want to be a leader? The parties should be able to sample these people and tell us, this is our candidate we think is a good leader. Now, that is the reason why we have parties. But if the parties cannot give us good leaders, then we're in a little bit of a bind. Yes.
A lot we've been talking about right here at Morning at NTV. First, it was how the coronavirus has impacted our aviation industry in Uganda and elsewhere in the world. Number two, we also talked about the emergency of Tumukunde. He's arrested and detention last week. He collapsed yesterday. And we are concluding with His Excellency Bobby Wine right there, who's also trying to vie for the same position of the presidency come 2021. Now, Mr. Babu, as we wrap up, what do you make of this presidential race? We have only 1 minute. Your parting shots.
No, I think we should try very hard. In fact,
will this violence continue, or do you envisage that?
No, it should be stopped if we can find ways and means. They have this inter-party dialogue, IPOD. I think they should sit down and really come out with better methods of work. Because if you tell me that the law says I must get 100 signatures in 2/3 of the districts of Uganda, then you should allow me to go and look for those 100 signatures. If you tell me that the money is 20 million shillings, as you say, but I remember it was about 50, and Nandala Mafabi wants it to be 3, and then you have people saying, but if you want to be a president, you should have money. Should we choose only millionaires? So all these arguments, we should sit down and argue and find solutions to them. And I think we should stop to be selective. Let those who think through their parties, if they think they can be leaders of this country, let them have a chance to do so. In many countries, they've had so many presidential candidates, eventually one has emerged. So at the end of the day, I think time has come for us to try and understand politics and understand what sort of people we're looking for. So when you sit down and say you want a president, I don't want you to think about individuals. I want you to think of what a president does. What does a president do? He's a head of state. He's a head of government. He's the commander-in-chief. Now, you want to get somebody who can fit those things. Now, once you have put it down, then you say, among these people, who can fit in this frame? I think the civic education in this country is also extremely important. We should not be excited about this. We should choose people because a leader of this country is a lifeline of everybody. All our problems depends on how good our politics are. And therefore, we need good leaders.
So people should elect a leader based on the messages they are giving them, whether or not what they're saying will be able to help them.
And if they fit the bill.
Do you think that the 2 months they'll be having for campaigns will be enough to send their message to
I've always said they are not enough. Not for the presidency. For the MPs is fine, but for the presidency it's a very short period of time. We need a little bit more time. And how do we do it? These are the kind of questions we should be answering. And I think it should be done around the table instead of doing it on the street. Yes.
Captain Francis Babu is a veteran politician and flight captain. Thank you for having made the time to join us right here in Morning at NTV. Elbow.
Thank you very much. I'm a namaste.
Namaste. And I also understand Cedric Babu is running for Kampala Central.
Oh, is that so? Yes.
Did you know your son is running for Kampala Central?
Well, he informed me, and I wish him the best of luck.
All right, that is it. Morning at NTV. Let's take another short breather. We'll be right back with another conversation. Keep it here on Morning at NTV.
You're watching Morning at NTV.